Tuchel raises his voice and fires back after Bellingham complains about being subbed off. Even with a so-called perfect World Cup qualifying run, 100% record, not a single goal conceded. Now we'll take a look at what the pundits had to say on the football shows and hear Thomas Tuchel's response.
Where'd you start with Jude Bellingham? He's a superstar, isn't he? He's one of the best players in world football and one of the biggest stars in world football. We saw him at the end of the game being absolutely mobbed by Albania fans, by Albanian reporters for selfies with him. I don't think he was great tonight by his own very high standards. I think the number of changes that Tuchel had made caused him some difficulty in linking up with players. But all of that you can forget because the headlines, again, are about how he behaved on the pitch. And look, there was a suggestion put to Thomas Tuchel in the news conference this evening that Jude Bellingham hadn't celebrated that second goal that Harry Kane scored with the rest of his team. And Thomas Tuchel was asked about that. And Thomas Tuchel said, I hadn't seen it, I need to review it. The truth of the matter is we've checked, and it's now clear that Jude Bellingham did celebrate with his teammates. He went over and congratulated Marcus Rashford for a brilliant cross, which landed straight on Harry Kane's head. And then he went to celebrate with the captain as well, only to turn around at that immediate moment and realise that his number was up and he was going to be substituted for Morgan Rogers. It was at that point that Jude Bellingham threw his arms up in the air in frustration and was clearly very unhappy about being substituted. But as he came off the pitch, he shook hands with Thomas Tuchel and Thomas Tuchel smacked him on the backside. So you think from player and manager's perspective, there's no lingering damage there. But put this into context where Thomas Tuchel has been talking a lot about the collective and the importance of being a team player, the importance of the bond in that group. And it will be another question mark for those who are critical of Jude Bellingham to say, is he really that team player? Has he really got the team ethos at heart? I think those who are in support of Jude Bellingham would say, well, hang on a minute. He was just celebrating a goal with his teammates and then turned around to see he was coming off. And he played a role in that goal as well, by the way. If it happened maybe 10 minutes later, in a sort of a lower key moment of the game, maybe he wouldn't have reacted like that. There are differences of opinion about Jude Bellingham. Of course there are. But Thomas Tuchel was asked about the frustration that Bellingham showed when he threw his arms up in the air when he came off. And here's how the England head coach responded.
Then I have to review it. I saw that he was not happy. I don't want to make it bigger at the moment than it is. I think to a certain degree, if you have players like Jude who are so competitive, they will never like it. But as you said, my word stands. We are about it is about standards and about level, and there's a commitment to each other and respect to each other. So someone is waiting outside, and we will not change our decision just because someone is waving with the arms.
So that's the England head coach talking about Jude Bellingham. We know Jude Bellingham is a headline maker. He will be right between now and the World Cup next summer. So expect some reaction in the newspapers tonight to that one. And it's an issue I'm sure we'll be discussing between now and May when Thomas Tuchel picks his squad. But Jude Bellingham will be absolutely in that squad, assuming he's fit and available at that point. Some other talking points and important issues, I think, from tonight's game. Jarrell Quansah made his debut out of position at right back, and I thought he played pretty well. Didn't make any huge mistakes, and I think he can be pleased with his day's work. He's had to be patient waiting for that debut. A man who made his debut the other night on Thursday at Wembley against Serbia was Nico O'Reilly. I thought he was outstanding again tonight and probably is the leading candidate to make that left-back position his own going forward, albeit he's only played 2 games in the senior England team as well. We know that Adam Wharton started in a defensive midfield role. He didn't do anything wrong, but my assessment was that he didn't do an awful lot to extend his case to be included in that World Cup squad as well. Thomas Tuchel and Anthony Barry, his assistant, will sit down and analyse all of this, and they'll make their decisions. They've got plenty of time to do so now because they won't be meeting up with the England squad again until March of next year. But England have ended their World Cup qualifying campaign on a high. They've played their last competitive match before next summer's World Cup. That went well. And so I think there's a very positive mood amongst that England camp as they fly back, as I speak to you right now, back to England.
Watching Bellingham. But Tuchel made his displeasure clear with Jude's frustrated reaction to being substituted. He didn't look happy when he realised he was about to be replaced by Morgan Rogers in the 84th minute. And post-match, Tuchel jumped on that.
That's the decision, and he has to accept the decision. There are players. His friend is waiting on the sideline, so you need to accept it, respect it.
You need to accept it. You need to respect it. He's right. He's right, isn't he, Martin?
Well, I think what he's going to do, he's going to manage this group of players, and everyone's going to get treated exactly the same. And he may well have identified one or two players and thought, okay, I need to kind of show tough love to these players because, I'm all into this loving the players. And one or two players, even again now, it looks like he wasn't happy, Bellingham going off the pitch. It's like, okay, fella, are you learning when you work with me? I don't want these public displays. This is how we behave. And it's just I don't mind the player. Sometimes players of that caliber act in a slightly different way. But this manager's obviously electing to manage them in the only way he can, and he knows best. I think Spencer's another one, the fullback who didn't feature in any of these games. I think maybe he's messaging him in a slightly different way because of the Thomas Frank situation. Maybe he's not happy with him on the bench in everyone's ear, doesn't look focused, doesn't look concentrated. So he hasn't featured in the last 2 games. He's got immense talent, but this manager is saying, hold on, behaviour just needs to be adjusted. I can afford to do this, by the way, because we're qualifying for tournaments quite comfortably.
I like what he's doing, Martin. Simon, after Tottenham lost 1-0 at home to Chelsea, Spence and Mickey van de Ven, you remember, walked past Thomas Frank. He told them to go out and acknowledge the home crowd at the end of the match. Tuchel revealed pre-match he spoke to Jed Spence to remind him of his responsibilities, even though this was something that had happened at club level. I must admit, Tuchel surprises me but impresses me when he does this. He says, I didn't like it because the players know they're not only national players when they are 10 days in camp. They are always national players. And the standard of behaviour is always important. In other words, listen, you lot, you represent England all the time.
Well, that's why they brought Thomas Tuchel in. I wonder if Thomas Tuchel volunteered the observation about Jude Bellingham, or it was a question fired at him, which then got the solicited response. Because players, I don't know whether they're supposed to be jumping up and down with spinning bone ties and grinning from ear to ear when they get substituted. I know that Jude is a little bit on the histrionic side, but I suspect that Thomas Tuchel might not have volunteered that particular.
He was asked it.
Yeah, he was asked it. So ultimately he has to answer it then. And the question is, why? How does he answer it, and what is the best way to answer it? I think he answers it in the way that he's not there. He's not there to win a popularity contest, Thomas Tuchel. He believes in the old mantra, there's 2 kinds of people as well, popular people and successful people. It's amazing how popular you become when you're successful, right? So he will have this team operating at a very high level, expecting to, 4 or 5 months ago, people were beginning to worry about what the team looked like. All of a sudden, it's fallen into place. People like Jed Spence are bit players at this moment in time and are lucky to be in the England side and it's a good thing that he pays attention to what they're doing because that's his job. Too often we see England managers seemingly not visible around watching domestic games and not being across the detail and perhaps way they could have been.
Sure, but when asked about Bellingham being subbed though, Simon, he could have said, look, I'm not going to get into that. But he didn't. He says he has to accept the decision.
But that's my point. So the ultimate popularity contest that he's trying to win is winning football matches by setting standards for the players. He's bigger than the players in the dressing room. Thomas Tuchel is as strong as those players. He's not their friend. He's not their pal. He's not a politician. He's not there to be a diplomat. He's there to win football matches. He's there to take England to the World Cup and try and win it. And he'll do it the best way he sees fit. And so with that in mind, he's demanding and commanding respect. This is not about the player that's waiting on the sideline. This is about the remonstrations and demonstrations of a player being taken off by the manager. So the manager's saying, I'm in charge of this situation. I'm the person that you respond to. It's nice that he covers it in the idea that Morgan Rogers is waiting to come on and has been disappointed all week because he's wanted to start in the starting lineup as well. But it's really about, don't you dare demonstrate when I pull you off.
Well, I think it's about behaviour, isn't it?
Yeah.
But Martin, have we gone from the diplomat of togetherness with Southgate to the no-nonsense honesty of Tuchel?
Well, what we've gone to is in a manager who, I wouldn't say he's dispassionate, but he's obviously a manager from another nation. He hasn't come with any of this baggage, and it's like, well, look, this is how I'm going to manage. This is how I'm going to behave, and I expect you to follow. And he's very clear with that messaging.
Proven winner, though. And different dynamic. Gareth Southgate was always playing the game of catch-up, which is that Gareth Southgate was not a proven winner as a football manager. What he did was he took England from a dreadful period of 2016, post that with Sam getting himself in all kinds of trouble, and then taking over when the England team was of no expectation levels whatsoever. Even the press had given up writing about them and turning around and giving an expectation. And he built from there, but he was always in a disadvantageous position that to demand the dressing room behaves in a certain way. I think at this level, you need to be a proven winner. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I might be wrong.
Yeah.
And Tuchel, whether you like him or not at domestic levels, and I think he's a bugger to manage at domestic levels, he's a proven winner. And so that means that when you get him inside a dressing room, there is no doubt that this guy knows the margins and understands the mentality of elite footballers because he's managed them and taken them to places where other elite footballers haven't been.
But he's inherited a team that has been reasonably successful. Southgate, 2 finals, 1 semi-final, 1 quarter-final. But what he's not completely happy with is their behaviour. He can see things, elements of these players. Do you know what? I don't want him getting. I just want him to keep his feet on the ground.
He's inherited a team that
he's managing it.
He's inherited a team that's never beaten anybody on paper that people think they can't. That's what he's inherited.
And that's what he's trying to do. I think it's about character.
It's changing the culture of those players and the mentality of the framework, because we were all sitting there telling everybody, like you just did, how successful the team was to get to places in tournaments when all we ever beat were teams that we could.
Yeah.
And the moment we came up against somebody that potentially on paper we couldn't beat, we lost to the Croatians, we lost to the French, and whoever else, with the Italians in the final. And all of those were wonderful achievements up against the track record of a really poor period in English football, but opportunities were missed. Tuchel may not, which is why he's there, may not miss those opportunities.
I'll put it out there, Simon, actually, this morning. Is Tuchel going to be the difference because of the way he goes about it? We saw what happened when Jude came off, and Tuchel says he has to accept the decision. His friend is waiting on the sidelines, so you need to accept it, respect it, and keep going. Is that the kind of leadership you like in the England boss? When it comes to the man in the media, have we seen Southgate go, and with that, the diplomat of togetherness has gone, and now we've got the no-nonsense honesty of Tuchel? Is that what you want to see? 03717 223344. Tuchel's doing his bit. Is it going to lead you to a World Cup final and possibly the trophy itself next summer?